Push it. So, welcome to everyone listening. This is the Hearth. This is a conversation with myself and Allison Greene-Barton, Kristin Sipley, and Eileen Sendrey. And tonight we would like to talk about working with the blueprint and the imprint and how it leads to integration or healing, healing that wants to happen. That's how I often talk about it in my trainings. This is the nuts and bolts of how we work with the blueprint and the imprint. So I'm going to start us off with showing an illustration that I made that might help you see, because those of you who are visual learners, um, this is a slide of uh, the blueprint and the imprint, and I'll just describe it if I can get it to share bigger. There. So when I try to talk about the connection between the two, what I see often is people get confused and they want to know what everything is and how can it be connected. And so I tell people that the painful place is the way in. That's the way in. This is what I've learned from Anna Chitty, and this is work from Anna Chitty's Blueprint Resonance class. But the imprint can be both positive and challenging. It's a painful place in our history that can be bound up, so it's fixed. And our essential business with working with people is to help relieve fixation so that running water can clear itself here. So we want to relieve that. And then these painful places are organized by the blueprint. So the blueprint is this wellspring of deeper energy. That's our essential qualities of life that are just beautiful and full. And they support our basic beauty and our humanness. That's what I teach in my classes. And that this wound is held in place by the blueprint. So I made these two places that are actually moving, but are connected. And this painful place is fixed in time and space and tissue. And so the wound is the way, but not the destination, is a quote from Anna Chitty, and it is a way in. So it's portal or the gateway or the doorway in. So you go there. And when we're working with relieving this place, we deepen and broaden. So there's Peter Levine called it titration and pendulation. But going towards it, moving away from it, going towards it. And if you have greater capacity, you can go deeper into the painful place. And often this combination allows the fixation to relieve. And then it all starts to move and our essential qualities rise and we feel them in our body and our emotions, our perceptions. And so this is our illustration. I'll put it up also in the conversation so you can see. So would our good company like to share?
Well, I could speak next. I've been really working with just what you're talking about, Kate, recently, both in my own work, working with myself, and supporting my clients. And what I'm finding in my own experience is if I can settle, if I can relax around the fact that I'm feeling my imprint, it creates that like that witnessing and being able to settle with knowing this is a memory, knowing this happened, really knowing what this memory feels like. So I'm not I don't end up in the ditch because of these sensations I'm feeling that feel difficult. Um, so, there's this knowing really well the quality of the memory from my early wounding and being able to settle in that, which, in brain science, it brings us into our executive function of the brain, or um, presence, witnessing, however we want to relate to it. And I was just sharing with you all the experience I had just earlier today, where I'm doing something, I'm in a process where it is objectively kind of challenging what I'm doing, but I noticed that my imprint was coming up, this feeling of despair. I'm alone, I'm in despair, I'm not going to make it. Um, a feeling of overwhelm. And I happen to know that feeling really well. I've really gotten to know it, and I've done so much session work around it that I I was feeling how uncomfortable it felt and how real it really feels when it's happening. But I could also feel the clarity of, this is not what's actually happening right now. I'm actually doing something really positive, but I'm just in a transition point, which feels a little stressful. And I was even talking to a small grandchild today, and she was talking to me about it. And I could even feel, as I was describing the process to her, I could feel really my healthy present day self describing the process, even as I was feeling some of those stressful feelings inside myself. And so what I love about this state, and I love your picture, Kate, because I really feel like that's what I was experiencing. Whereas, like, on some surface level, there was the wounding. And then just in this deep, quiet, slow place in myself, I kept making choices that were healthy. I would work on the project a little, and then I'd feel, okay, it's time to pause now to have lunch, or to stop and chat with this grandchild, and just talk to her about what was happening. And I could feel a healthy balance between, really actively working on the project and then pausing and settling and caring for myself and my dogs. And I just made sure I was going slow enough and really feeling my body so I could feel each step of the health guiding me. So yeah, and I feel like I don't feel resentful or upset or even frustrated that this history is showing itself. I've just gotten to know that that's how I was formed as an embodied being. It's part of my whole self. And there's something about being able to relax and settle around that, which I'm able to have access to all parts of myself. Yeah, I'll stop there.
That's so beautiful, Eileen. Um, yeah, I'm just really listening to what you just offered. And um, yeah, there's something about your picture, Kate, which is also so beautiful. I mean, there's something about the blueprint being very vibrant and moving and alive, which what happens is when we have a wound that comes in, then what's already moving starts to orient around that. And I like how you moved it from color to, it's not quite black and white, but to color, like things become more intensified in terms of the wound, and it comes what we've often talked about, life death. So when things actually come in and we focus, that all that energy gets focused in one direction or another in a polarity. And I'm really appreciating just what that represents and how do we orient to that. And what came in as you were talking, Eileen, is I think I originally heard this from Myrna Martin about something coming in too fast, too much, too fast, too soon. And what that can do to movements is it can speed it up, and you can feel that almost tornado type of experience where it starts to just whip around faster and faster. And so what I heard from you, Eileen, was that all our responses come from the blueprint. And so can we, or what happens when we slow things down and see where the imprint comes in, where that fixation might come in, but also what else might be available to us now. And I heard you saying when you slow things down that, oh, how do I take care of myself in this place? Where there's something a little bit, we have a little more access to things. And yeah, so I found that really touching and such a guidance to what we might be able to do when things come in, when we're there in the midst of an imprint showing itself, and how do we connect to the blueprint underneath and have access to just a few more things that we didn't when we were young because of the immaturity of our physical bodies, as well as what else was in the field available to us. Yeah. And I know, Allison, you have another example more about the poles. So
yeah, I can share an example that falls along the same theme around really being curious about accessing the health. I was in a class with Anna Chitty and we were doing a practice session, and I had the intention to explore the health in my mother's womb that was toxic with smoke and alcohol and caffeine. And I've really been working with that a lot lately to differentiate, to really have a sense of who I am separate from this feeling of chaos in my mother that went along emotionally with all of the toxicity. So in the session, I wanted to feel what you described in the slide, or it was written in the slide, that sensation of the blueprint that opens up, it unfolds, and it folds. So I decided to explore what that felt like and to feel myself connected to the blueprint as I unfolded and folded. And it was just a very slow, deliberate, step-by-step process. But the woman working with me had this wonderful instinct to hold the poles of the blueprint and whatever the trauma was that I was working with. So she held this energy, and she described it as holding the energy between life and death. And that was what I was actually exploring. And she didn't realize that as I was going into it. So as I would slowly enfold, it was very challenging because I felt as if I was enfolding into the toxicity. So I had my observer self, I was really present, and I just took it a little step of the way, feeling her hold this amazing space for me. And then I went all the way into the enfolding and felt this ball of light that I was folded around over. And literally, it felt as if I didn't have a bones in my body yet. I was still this embryo in a way. And so then when I unfolded and opened to the energy of the blueprint. And I did this a couple times until I went so deep, I could feel the little one inside of me, and the words I got, I'm hanging on by a thread. And I never knew how close I came to not being here. And it was such like a deep, in a way, relief, because the power of the presence and the power of her holding these poles as I folded and unfolded and came and finally found the little one that I think I've always had an automatic reflex away from. I just couldn't stay present there. It was like oil and water in my system. I could never quite, very intangible. So here I am holding this place and this ball of light and really being with her. And then my intention to feel the blueprint in there. And what I keep hearing were these words: you made it, you're alive, you have such a strong desire to be here. Your life force is very powerful to survive this. And as I'm feeling all this, I'm getting like goose pimples as I'm talking about it. It was so powerful to be with my little one and to feel this blueprint presence of myself speaking to her. And then as I'm speaking to her, I could feel her unfolding again and coming out of, hanging on by a thread, which has been sometimes a theme in my life with my health and coming to this edge, um, almost as if she was trying to show me this, or I've had to repeat this in my life to get to know it. So I was just feeling this release of, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. Like, this is very different. I can keep opening to this energy and this life. And I just opened completely up to it. And um, I've been feeling a sense of resolution with that part of me that just needed to be met and heard and recognized for how close she came to dying. And that I'm here. Um, And I felt there were other places in the womb that I connected with, but that extends the story, I think, too much here. I just feel like the most important place was that I've resolved that place of hanging in there by a thread, that imprint. Um, and I'm so grateful for that feeling of being with the imprint and the blueprint at the same time with this woman who had the capacity to hold this space between life and death.
Oh, what a powerful experience.
Yeah, really powerful.
Yeah.
I
Kate,
really, oh, go on. I'm sorry, Kristin.
no, I was just going to actually pass it to Kate because I know you're about to say something.
No, I was just going to say, wow, thank you, Allison, for sharing. And both of your stories are so powerful. And with you, Eileen, when you were sharing, I just felt your solidity.
Mm.
I felt really like solid, but smooth, and open at the same time. And Allison, your story has so much life force in it. It's like this beautiful opening and, you know, both vital and relaxing. You said it was relieving.
Mhm.
So that's like the best that you can get, like, uh, so that relief, what the practitioner can perceive, nature can relieve us relief in these places where these intense fixations, people carry them around and think that it's now, but it's actually the imprint and it's a memory. Just like you said, Eileen, I was so touched by both of your stories. That's what I
Mm.
was going to say, Kristin. Did you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, when I was listening to you, Allison, I really felt in my heart that like that good parent, but
Mm.
also just like the good parent connected to spirit. Like there was like the good parent, but in it was also this like this deeper understanding, like both a good parent, like the human parent, and then also like grace. And that was really it was like grace given. And yeah, I felt very moved by how you witnessed yourself. in such a compassionate way. And yeah, I'll part of it is I feel like I'll want to integrate even your story, because there was something I also felt in my body that felt so much about being a good parent to myself, and helping clients with that. There was something that I felt that I'd like to integrate. Yeah.
I think both of what you're sharing is really about what happens when we have presence, when there's presence there as an imprint arises. And, I mentioned a little bit in terms of the more black and white, the bicolor part of your image, Kate, is where things can go life, death. And that's like the stronger trauma vortex. But in all of that, we have all these places that when we bring presence, there's support to connect to the blueprint that's underneath all of the experience that's caught or fixated in the imprint part. And I really loved having both of your stories, and yours in particular, Allison, connected me with the one experience when I actually could connect to the grief that I felt in my system of coming into this world. And when I could feel that and had the presence and support of just feeling the grief first, then I could feel what it was that I was grieving. Because underneath that grief, there was this experience of actually feeling the connection I had with my mom. That was underneath all the experience of the loss and disconnection from her. And I think both of you are talking about that. Like, if we slow things down, we can access maybe something that was there, that light that you spoke about. Mm-hmm. For me, it was the connection. Eileen, for you, it was that there is something else available to you now. How beautiful is that?
And that's what we do. That's the work right there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love what you're saying, Kristin. I feel, the opportunity to really choose the health, because unbeknownst to me, I was identified with this hanging on to a thread, or hanging by a thread. And when I saw it and could be with it, and my intention was to align with the blueprint to see the health, then I could open to kind of how powerful I am to come through that. And then I started to align to my power rather than my powerlessness. It was a real shift that felt like it grew and developed inside of me as I kept allowing myself to open to it. And I'm hearing with you, like, it does, when you're identified with the imprint, it does block you from where the beauty is, where the connection is. And when you, with that presence, when you can come in and be with it with compassion and then go deeper, it's such a relief. And it's so nice to see yourself and the connections that you have and had that you were blocked to because of the imprint. It's so rich.
What you're saying makes me think of something I say to my clients is, life is easy, but the imprints are hard. And there's an experience that I have that what you said, Allison, is reminding me of is, even when challenging things are happening, if I'm resting into myself, if I'm resting into my health, I can actually find my way forward easily. But then my imprint is where I wrestle and have a hard time. And so yeah, I just yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate how you just worded that.
Yeah, there's something about the imprint actually limits us because it's a fixation that we can't, it limits our perception and our connection to our capacity. And what I'm hearing you say, Eileen, is when we can go slow enough, broaden a little bit, you use that word, Kate, and connect to the now, we can connect to the capacity that we actually have had from the beginning. And have the support to do something different here today.
Well, yeah, what you're saying kind of reminds me of there's a meditation that Tara Brach does. I've incorporated into feeling the blueprint, which is I am the ocean and have space for the waves.
I love that.
It feels like a nice place to end.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.